Welcome back, folks, once again to My Combat News. We are joined by a very special guest in studio, someone I got some history with, no beef, but a lot of history. Winner of The Ultimate Fighter Season 13. You know him as El Cucuy, Tony Ferguson. Tony, thanks very much.
Hey, thanks very much for having me, man.
I think she wants to pick a bone with me. You know, I've been kind of like a shell to her, but honestly.
My name is Tony Cucuy Ferguson. I am Season 13 winner of The Ultimate Fighter, and you are watching My Combat channel.
How far back into your MMA career do you remember, as far as like what got you into it? And you come from a wrestling background, you come from a football background. How did you end up in a cage?
You know, it goes back into like competing in sports. You know, since I was about 6 years old, I played football, baseball, and wrestling. Odd things, you know, my parents told me, you know, we're just going to keep you busy. If you're not doing this, you're going to be studying a whole lot more, and, you know, doing extracurricular with the school. So, you know, it kept me out of trouble, and, you know, just kept competing and just set my goals high and just kept going with it, you know. But MMA, you know, I watched it probably about 1992, 93. When it first came out, you know, and you know the guys were wearing the gis and they were going Goliath versus David, but I never really followed it through high school and wrestling and you know in college. And you know I came up on it. My buddy said, "Hey, why don't you fight?" Because we used to do the backyard brawls, boxing gloves. You know, not safe, but don't recommend it. But at the same time, it was kind of cool. It got me interested into it, and I did have some decent hands, big reach, and just told my parents. I was like, "Hey, you know, what do you guys think of this?" And they said, "Just be careful."
So you participated in a lot of sports, football, baseball, wrestling. There seemed to be an avoidance of homework involved in some of that. How much of a motivator was it, and how much was it just that you were drawn to sports?
If I didn't make the GPA, I didn't play. You know, and that was the one thing that my coaches and my parents stressed a lot. So I had to have that balance where, you know, you were multitasking. You know, one of the things that I, was good at was just multitasking, and my parents, they allowed me to. So when one sport ended, the other one began, and so on and so forth for years and years and years. MMA it's like the exact same thing. I get to be able to compete in a sport that's highly competitive, that allows me to use all of my talents that I've learned over the many, many years, just so the whole entire world, you know, can watch. You know, this is fighting, this is mixed martial arts, but it's a competition sport, and I love it.
Yeah, that's important on two fronts. One, it shows the importance of the thinking man sport and the academics being important to athletes in mixed martial arts. It's also important because you mentioned men multitasking, and that's something my wife does not believe exists in reality. So you had 14 professional fights.
Couple, 13 actually, because they didn't count 2. I'm 13 and 2.
They don't always count.
They didn't count 2. So that would make me, if they did, I'd be 15 and 2.
Okay.
I think with 10 knockouts.
And an impressive record by any stretch. The 2 losses are further back in your career. One of them, Jamie the Ghost Tony.
Yes.
And the other one was Karan Darabedian, who was he defeated Reza Rob. He's fought in the WEC before. Are those rematches, just to erase those, at all important to you at this point? Do you care anymore? I mean, obviously
it carried me through my fights. It gave me enough energy and enough, like, I guess you would say, enough energy to hit the bags with. I don't want to say like anger, but like I had to get focused and learn what obviously I got choked out on one of them. And obviously I went to the judges on one of them. The one thing I did learn was you never leave it in the hands of the judges, and it says that right above the UFC door, over for both teams. Lesnar and Dos Santos, and we saw it, and they said that. And you know, Lesnar said, Brock said the same thing, he read it too, and so did Dana. And everybody stressed that, and so that's what you have to do. You can't leave it in the hands of the judges. You just learn from your mistakes, man. You do the best you can next time.
How do you feel your game has been influenced in any way from your involvement now with Lesnar? He wasn't part of your history getting to where you are now. Has his influence changed your fight game, your fight style at all?
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, just because, like, honestly, like, you know, have you ever been on a wrestling team?
Yes, actually I have.
Okay, you know you have your captain. Yeah. What are you supposed to do? On a wrestling team, it's just you out there. You have your team that you go with. You're going to roll with the heavyweights? No, heavyweights roll with heavyweights, and your little guys roll with your little guys. So what you're going to do is you're going to go out there the best you can. Brock was more than the captain. He was right there. And as far as coaching MMA, I don't think he's ever had to do it, so he had to learn how to do that. Well, Marty and everybody else, we're all kind of doing the same thing, trying to figure it out, but they're all great coaches. They know what they're doing. And the one thing that you know how to do is handle an athlete, and that's exactly what they did. They learned to let me do some of the things on my own, because I had my own routine, and they learned how to harness all the stuff that I didn't have. So we worked on that. So it was good.
What, outside of the cage, what scares Tony Ferguson?
Oh man, what scares me? Just not giving 100%, just failing. Just like, as far as like failing, like you can lose, but if you don't give it like your all, and if I feel bad for myself the next day, that's the worst. It's kind of like, you know, your dad telling you you're disappointed. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go and get you, man. I'm not going to beat you up, but I'm just kind of disappointed you shouldn't have did that. And you take that kind of more to heart because, you know, you could have did better, but you can't go back.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mistake you made. That's why you always remember it. You know, just kind of keep it in your head. It's always there.
We mentioned it for El Cucuy. Let's say somebody out there doesn't know. Tell them what it means, where it comes from.
It's Spanish for the boogeyman. Now, if you don't know about this, you can go to your library, look up some folklore stuff, and it'll fall right in there. The boogeyman, something that comes and haunts you if you're not good at night, or you're not listening to your parents,
Or if you have leg kicks.
if you have leg kicks, or you know you don't want to get uppercut, listen to Cucuy. Just kidding. No, it's just a little folklore thing, Mexican heritage. Basically the boogeyman, just to scare kids into being good.
It's a great nickname. The last thing I want to have you say is obviously you're in a position, people know who you are more, and kids are catching on and following the sport more and more, younger kids, younger adults. What's your message to them if any of them want to get into this game, they want to be El Cucuy 2, or they want to be a mixed martial artist? What's your advice for them to approach it and go after it?
You don't want to be the next me. You want to be the first you. And the biggest thing is you have to work hard. You have to work hard in school. You have to work hard in, you know, by, you know, paying attention to your parents. If you don't have that many parents that are there, you know, for you, you just gotta suck it up, no matter what. And what you have to do is just find a way to stay happy. And, you know, if you do drawing, or no matter what you're doing, if that passes by the time, you know, stay active. Don't just sit on your butt. You know, if you want to get into this stuff, go to some neighborhood gym, talk to a coach there, ask to see the owner or the manager. Actually go online if you have access to the internet, you know, just ask somebody and get involved, you know, ask a parent or an adult or somebody that's active within your high school or any kind of community that has anything to do with sporting events. They're gonna know. The best thing to do would be to find an athletic director that can point you in the direction of wrestling. You go through wrestling, you go through high school, you go through college. Hey, I tell you what, after college, why? Because you can't be a knucklehead in here.
We appreciate you letting us take part of the ride with you.
Thank you very much.
It's great to see it. Mr. T. Ferg himself, El Cucuy, Tony Ferguson, winner of The Ultimate Fighter Season 13 here on My Combat News. Stay with us, more show coming up.